Okay, Alfred, your package has arrived, so we're going to get you opened up, have a quick look at what you sent, do an evaluation of your watch. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, there we have it. Okay. Well, let's take a look. So, this is a 1971 6105 8119. Of course, it's a Willard, as we all like to call them. All right, well, let's dig in a little bit. So, let's see. Case. Let's start with the case. Case looks really quite good. Couple little marks here and there, and of course no polishing, but I would say polished by age. You know, it's still got the sort of hazies of where people, you know, bump things and just kind of put their own marks into the surface. But the edges are nice and clean. Everything looks good. You've got a locking crown. Your crown is in good shape. Horseshoe back. The 8119 variant. It's very nice to see that. So an early one, 71, long sweep. All right, so now let's focus in a little bit on the dial and the hands. Your dial and hands have been wet. This watch has seen water for sure. Now, I'm not sure where you want to go with the dial and hands. I never recommend replacing anything for sure, because frankly we just don't have parts to do that. Your hands themselves are actually pretty good. They have some shine left on them. The loom is pretty well damaged on both dial and hands. The dial itself has a sort of hazy white coloration, and I'm not sure if that's perhaps salt water that has settled in, or if that's actually something else. I can really see some particulate matter that's accumulated at the edge between your dial and your actual there it is, right there. You see those little particles? Right against your chapter ring and your dial. Now, that gives me a little bit of fear. These can be really affected by water. But, you know, yeah. Let's have a close look. I mean, certainly we can try our best to make things look good. I haven't gone back and looked at our correspondence to figure out exactly where you want to be. Cosmetically, you know, watches are, to me, a piece of historical, documentation, and they express the lives that they've lived through their through the way they look. So I'm a big fan of trying to leave as much history as possible intact. Now, of course, we all want a nice looking watch to wear, and that's pretty clear. And so, you know, it can be worth it to invest a little time and energy to clean things. The loom itself is pretty rough. But maybe we can work with that a little bit. We'll see. All right, so the thing that you don't want to do is make something inconsistent. That's my biggest fear, of course, with these sorts of things, is that if you reloom the dial and don't reloom the hands or vice versa, you can end up with a situation where things don't quite look the way they should. They can stand out. We can always match coloration as much as possible. We can do things to try and get things to match. All right, so your case back is coming off fairly easily. You got lots of grit and dirt, parts and bits and things inside. Oh, okay, so that's not supposed to do that. But that's probably just part of the winding mechanism that's just come apart. Yeah. Okay. That's probably fixable fairly easily. Yeah, your magic lever is somehow broken. What I'd like to do though, somebody's been in here a bit scraping around. You know, I'm not going to push it too hard. I don't want to get into a situation where it's not going to respond well to what I'm going to do. So I am going to do as little as necessary, perhaps, to try and understand what's going on with your movement. I'm not sure it's running, but I'm not sure it has any power in the mainspring either, because your winding mechanism is not working. And yeah, things are locked up. So I'm not going to be able to put power in directly without taking things apart to some degree. So I'm not going to do that. But you know, in a sense, you've definitely seen water ingress. There has been water in the movement. Your balance wants to move free. I mean, it's pretty well locked up, but your balance can move, so that's always a good sign. The balance itself is important. Everything else is, in a sense, replaceable in a fairly straightforward way. I'm unsure as to why things are locked the way they are. So I have some theories, but you know, that'll be borne out in the restoration process. Let's take a look here. See if we can get your crown up. So that looks okay. It's a little rusty inside, a little dirty, but still seems to work. What I'd like to do is just sort of have a quick look, perhaps, at your dial itself. So give me one moment. We're going to take your watch out of the case. Okay, so we're now out of the case. What I'm finding is that a lot of this is, as I expected, it's residue. So this is material that has settled down onto the dial that we will perhaps be able to at least remediate some of it. You know, there's no guarantee, but you can definitely see there's water spots. There's been a lot of water in here. You know, it's always a little nerve-wracking when you see water, obvious water. That means water is deeper. And that means movement parts that have high curvatures and small diameters, they can wick water in because of surface tension. You know, it just feeds itself. It feeds on itself. The water just gets deeper and deeper, and that's never good. But a lot of this sort of these little dots and bits, those are cleanable. We can definitely get your dial and hands looking better. The loom, there's not much I can do about this loom on the hands. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it honestly to you to tell me what you'd like. I can reloom and try and match this as much as possible. I don't know if it's gonna look consistent to have a dial with bright loom and bright hands. Now, we can do what you like. Certainly, we can. I mean, it's your watch. We can make it what you'd like it to be. But I'm going to let that be your decision. My recommendations are always just based on my own personal taste, but I want you to tell me what you'd like to see. I am a little wary and a little bit nervous about the state of the movement currently, and the idea that there's potentially a substantial amount of rust within here. You can certainly fix anything. I mean, that's what we're here for, is to fix stuff. Replacement of parts, that's going to be probably going to be happening. I mean, I just know from experience that when I see this sort of water ingress, that means it's also within the pivots and some of the other parts. I will of course take your lead. You tell me what you'd like to do. We'll move forward, and we'll try and do our very, very best to get you the best possible outcome for the watch. But we know going in that there are going to be issues. There already are issues that I can see just from taking the back off the watch. It has parts that will need replacing. They're available. I can always make things work. I just need to have your consent to move forward at this point. So please, we'll talk, and I want to thank you for sending it, and thank you for watching.